Yeah, I just love this journey. I was sitting back there, and my Abraham is Alfred. He talks to me, and he just told me, raise your hand. I don't really know why. I'm just following my journey, and I'm enjoying my life experiences. Been through a lot the last 25 years, a lot of it negative. Over the last year, things have turned. I'm doing a lot better. A year ago, I watched one of your videos, and as soon as I saw your face, I was drawn to meeting you. I knew I have to meet her. So, due to my wonderful relationship and marriage with my wife, this is my birthday gift to come see you. So, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I've always been known as a very, psychic person. I tend to know things sometimes when I shouldn't. There's that should word. But it's just there.
In other words, you have knowledge or faith or understanding before there is physical evidence. Before there is physical evidence that supports it.
Correct.
How cool. In other words, isn't that what we've been talking about here? That
yes.
You're able to find the vibration of it before it manifests. And if it's something that you want to manifest, then keep focusing. And if it's something you don't want to manifest, then cease the focusing.
Yes.
Nice conscious awareness of what creation is about.
With Alfred, he doesn't talk a whole lot. I kind of call him the king of one-liners. I know
raise your hand.
I know it. Yeah, exactly. And when I came here today, I thought that he'd be more active, but it's almost like it was blocked. And finally, something came through. He said, "Relax and enjoy." That's all he said. So I'm like, okay.
Perfect advice from Alfred.
Yeah.
Because when you have, we started to tell you the story before you began talking about this, but it really applies. That a room full of people, and many of them with their hand up, many of them wanting to have a conversation, and many of them having an active desire. But what makes them visible to us or attractive to us, in other words, we don't see everyone in the room. What makes you visible to us is your vibrational proximity to your desire. So if you want something and you doubt it, we don't see you. If you really, really want it and you really, really doubt it, we really don't see you. If you sort of want it and are not doubting it much, you are visible, just not very interesting. But if you really, really have a desire and you're in a place of relaxation and no resistance, then there you are. So Alfred said to you, relax, which is get into the allowing place, because there's enough active in your desire to make you visible unless you block it with your doubt. And in your relaxation, any resistance goes away. And then the next manifestation that came to you in the form of the idea was raise your hand. Didn't you find that particularly good timing?
It was.
In other words, this manifestation stuff, this is exactly the way that it works. You become visible to each other, and not only visible to us in a forum like this where we are calling you forward for co-creative experience, but this is the way you're rendezvousing with everyone in your experience. You literally light up and become vibrationally viable to each other based upon what you've got going on vibrationally. That's why nothing that happens is ever an accident. Everything that happens is always a vibrational response.
A thought crossed my mind. I said, well, just let the other people that have specific questions get a chance to get up here. And then that popped in my head. It's like, okay, I'll raise my hand. I didn't have a specific question.
But so what piece did you contribute here? In other words, do you feel that he's contributed something with his conversation? Don't you have a stronger sense of how it all works because of the real life experience that he has depicted and acted out right before your eyes? Don't you love the co-creative thing that we've got going on here? And doesn't it make you more certain of your ability to rendezvous with what you want wherever you are? So we are appreciative of you and Alfred, who is here with us.
And I was curious when, is it the similar situation with Esther and Abraham? Did you talk to Esther within her mind where she could hear you like I hear Abraham, or like I hear Alfred? And I want to be able to share that specifically with my wife. There's one night we had gone to bed and I'm laying there and I'm hearing Alfred with his one-liners, and I'm like, I want you to talk so she can hear. And he says, well, what is the point of talking when there's nobody listening? I'm like, well, of course I'm listening and I could wake her up. But
well, that was Alfred's way of saying, and the way that Esther interpreted that same sentiment was, when you answer a question that isn't being asked, it's not particularly good timing.
I took that as time to go to sleep. Yeah.
If someone is asking and in a place of hearing, in other words, there are a lot of variables, aren't there? But often you are all full of your knowledge of something and you want to share it with someone. But many of you have discovered that it doesn't go over very well if you want them to know something that you want them to know if they don't want to know it. And you've also noticed that if no matter how much they seem to want it or need it, if they're not in a receptive mode, then giving it to them sort of backfires too. And so here's the way we would approach all of this, wanting to share your gift and what you know. Trust that the universe will cause you to rendezvous in perfect timing, and the inspiration will flow forth from you as it has here today, just in the perfect timing. And don't try too hard to make it happen. Let it happen. Just let it happen, you see. Esther had some advantages and some disadvantages. The advantage that she had is that she really didn't know what to expect, so she wasn't trying to orchestrate anything. Some might say that's a little bit of a disadvantage because she didn't know what to expect, so it had to evolve a little more slowly. She had the advantage of having a mate who was full of questions, and so his asking really was what summoned us. As Jerry wanted to know, it was his powerful wanting to know that really summoned us. And Esther's absence of resistance, in the same way that Alfred says relax, that's sort of where Esther was. She wasn't interested or worried or pushing against anything, you see. And so it's different for everyone, but it is our strong encouragement that you just allow the process to unfold with this general positive understanding. It is logical that it will unfold in whatever way you want it to, and you get to define what it is. We promise you that in the early days, if Esther had known that she was, if we had said to her, Esther, one day you will stand before hundreds and thousands of people, and worldwide people will be giving you attention, and you will be speaking for non-physical energy in a different voice from a different point of view, she would have made certain that it did not happen. Because from that point of view, it wasn't something that she even knew that she wanted, you see. And yet, as it has evolved, it has just been the next logical step and the next logical step and the next logical step. And there isn't anything that she does in her experience ever that is more satisfying than this, you see. So, you know that Alfred is not really whispering words in your ear. What's happening is you're getting vibrational downloads that you are unconsciously interpreting into those one-liners. You have created Alfred into the personality that is appealing to you, and that's a wonderful thing. So the relationship that you have can be whatever you decide you want it to be, but we are encouraging you not to try too hard to decide it in any specific terms. Just say general things. I want it to feel good, and Esther always said, and I want to speak clearly your words. I don't ever want it to be contrived. I always want it to be inspired. I always want it to be something that is so compelling that I cannot not say it, but never something that I'm trying to get you to say. Mm-hmm. I want to speak clearly the words that best reflect what you are offering. Generally speaking, I want to uplift everyone that I interact with this. I always want it to be an uplifting experience. I want to always be in vibrational alignment with you so that what flows forth from me and through me is the pure essence of this non-physical energy. I want to be of value. I want it to be fun. I want it to be clear, and I want it to be obvious to me. In other words, feel how good those feelings are and how good those statements feel. Just make those general statements. And then this is the thing that Esther began to say that really turned it for her from something that was happening mentally and vibrationally into something that was manifestationally evident to others. I'm willing. Because for a long time, she was not willing to be this weird.
Well, people never have seemed to really get me. All growing up, I always seemed
well,
like
then you were prepared.
Little...
You've always been prepared for this. Esther was a people pleaser. She had to give that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've learned not to really worry about what other people think. It's just got to do what's best for myself.
Wise.
And I've started to do, as opposed to not really, I want this, I am this. I've put myself in kind of like, I want a nice big yacht.
Feel the perfection of that, and feel the transition in it. I want it, which might have some resistance, to I am it, which is a full acceptance and no resistance. Feel that? Mm-hmm. But you can't say you are it until you know you are. In other words, you can't fake that. I am it. Mm-hmm. I am it. If reality that you're facing defies, in other words, I am a multi-billionaire.
Well,
in other words,
it helps me believe it, even if I'm not quite there yet. I hope that vibration I'm putting out by saying I am it already is headed me that direction.
It is exactly, and that's exactly right. And when you believe it, then vibrationally speaking, you am it. And when I am it, then the manifestation is fast on the heels of it. In other words, the manifestation has to follow that knowing. It has to. It defies law. It has to. But the question is, and it's why the conversation we had about the denial was so important, is because a lot of times what you want to feel, we're not speaking about you, we're talking about in general terms. A lot of times what a person wants to feel or wants to know and what they do feel and what they do know are not quite there. And you can't trick law of attraction, and you can't trick the universe. It's going to keep giving you feedback that depicts exactly how you feel. And that's why so many experiences that you've been witnessing already here today in the room, where you can see things matching up. People are having manifestations that match where they are. And it's just going to keep coming. There it is. There it is. Such a lovely understanding, isn't it? That I've lined up with my vortex. Don't know really how I did it. Just wanted to do it so much I figured out a way. So I got feeling pretty good, and I got feeling pretty good consistently enough that now the manifestations are starting to, and now I'm on a roll, because now it's easy to get there because the manifestations make it easy. But I'm not dependent on the manifestations because I got there before the manifestations. So I know that relative to any subject I can get there, and then the manifestations will follow. The manifestations are following my vortex work, not causing it. Let's start again. The manifestations are following fast on the heels of my vortex work, but not causing it. But now I'm observing it. Maybe it's causing it. Maybe it's keeping it going. But I'm not dependent on the manifestations. I know about the vortex. Vortex first, manifestation second. Vortex first, manifestation. It just gets easier and easier and easier and easier and easier for a while until I find another subject that then I have to do the real work about, you see. Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Further back, on the aisle, you're the one. Yes.